Hello, my name is Dag Johan Haugerud and I am the writer and director of the film Dreams that are showing in the main competition. I think it's showing on Wednesday. Really nice to be here.
Og det var først da, i det jeg tenkte det ordet, at det liksom gikk opp for meg hva dette handlet om. Jeg var jo bare helt utrolig forelsket i Johanne. Det var jo derfor jeg skrev det ned også, for å bevare det. Det føltes som å kaste seg ut for et stup. Enten ville jeg bli redda og alt ville bli bra, eller så ville livet ta slutt.
Hello and welcome to the 39th Teddy Awards. My name is Jan-Felix Wuttig and today I'm here with director Dag Johan Haugerud to talk about his film Dreams. Dag, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, and welcome back to the Teddy Award.
Thank
we had you here last year with Sex, your previous film, and one of the other two in the trilogy, which would be Sex, Love, Dreams. That's the, is it the right? Yeah.
Yeah, or Sex, Dreams, Love.
Sex, Dreams, Love.
Depends on, yeah.
Okay. And I was quite taken with Dreams. You tell the story of a young student, Johanne, falling in love with her teacher, Johanne. And I think the first thing that kind of struck me was that I think a lot of films with that kind of plot would have problematized that kind of relationship. But you sort of chose a different path to go about it, I felt. Could you say what was important to you in portraying their relationship?
Yeah, it was important to make the film about her first experience of falling in love. So it's all very subjective from her point of view. So then I didn't want to problematize, you know, the age difference or the pupil-teacher difference, you know, connection. Just what she saw, what she fell in love with, really, and her the sensation she experienced by falling in love.
Yes. Yeah, it's very much so that she has given her own sort of agency over everything that other people in her life try to put on the relationship. I mean, there's this sort of one scene where I think her mother and her grandmother talk about what has happened, and they talk about, because she's sort of writing a story about her experiences, and they're talking about finding an editor, and I think her grandmother or her mother talk about a queer awakening, which is, in that moment, it's kind of, I think it defines what some of the film is about. Could you maybe say what the importance of that moment, of that little fragment was?
Yeah, because she's not really ready to take in that this has been a queer love story, really. And she's not so interested in the identity part of it, really. So when her mother is saying about that this is a queer experience, you should. It's important for other queer people as well. She doesn't really recognize herself in that. Yeah. Because she has just been falling in love with a woman. Yes. And that's her main focus. Yes. And what will happen later, she doesn't really know yet. So, and if she will have a queer identity, she doesn't really know either. Yeah. So she's not ready to either identify or to be a person who should represent something either. Yeah, and to be sort of put under that kind of label, I felt. Yeah. There's scenes in the film that, to me, seemed very funny and also quite infuriating at the same time. Okay. So, for example, we have a scene where, well, her teacher talks about kind of abuse, but it is not sort of like the abuse that she felt at the hands of Johanne,
by sort of using her as sort of growing or being in that relationship, adoring her, but never telling her about it. And it's kind of a grotesque scene, because if you were talking about a relationship between a teacher and a student, you would talk about abuse at the hands of the teacher in most cases, and then she sort of flips it on her head, and the whole scene, it seems very, very bizarre in that moment.
But you can understand it, though, can't you?
yeah, of course. But did you approach that as a kind of what was important to you in that scene? Kind of, did you want to give it that kind of like a bizarre sort of vibe, or was it more like a humorous idea?
Well, up until then, we haven't really seen the teacher speak very much. We had just seen her being presented through Johanne, through the student, and she, of course, she is portraying her as a fantastic person. She's bathed in a very glorious light, and she's a wonderful woman. And when she finally gets the chance to speak of herself, she is quite an ordinary person, really. So that was probably my main point, to just show her as she is. And also she feels threatened in a way also by the mother. So she has to defend herself. And I didn't really find it bizarre. I found it quite natural that she should take on these points and try to defend herself in that way.
Maybe it's just a matter of experience, you know. If you've seen a couple of scenes where that kind of problematic takes stage, then you would have like the reversed sort of dynamic of teacher and student. But in that case, she utters a very interesting thought, which is that if you use people to feel a certain way and not make it clear to them, then you are in a way emotionally abusing them in a way.
And she has been the object of a possessive, you know, person who has really been in love with her. So when she reads about that, because that comes after she reads about herself in that book, she feel a bit abused that she has been, you know, this, and
sort of the main point of a possible book, no less, of course. Well, to go back to the title a little bit, it's named Dreams. I've sort of felt that at certain points in the film you have objects or you have thoughts, like for example the USB drive that Johanne talks about, and she's basically saying, this is not verbatim obviously, but sort of she's saying, as long as it's stored, like my thoughts, my feelings are stored on the USB drive, they are sort of contained, they belong to me, but when it's published, all my story with Johanna is published, then it gets messy. Like other people come in and find interpretations of that. Could you explain what the idea was behind that?
First of all, she wants to have this story, she wants to contain the story in a USB drive, because and that's really important to her, to keep it as a thing, really, because she could just keep it in the sky, in the you know, but she doesn't feel that it's safe there, really. So she wants to have something that she can have in her pocket, because this is her story. That's how that's all her feelings, all her her mindset is really in that USB drive in a way. And of course, when she is sharing it with other people, she also will get the responses from other people. People will react to it, and they will ask her questions, and then everything will change in a way. Because as long as you have everything in your head, there's nothing to disturb it, really. So you can keep your dreams as they are.
I think that's also a big matter in teenage or adolescent life, that you feel that you have so much stored inside of you, and the moment it gets out, people sort of kind of interact with it, and not always in the good way.
No, not always, because it will always change then. It certainly will, because you will have to rethink it in a way, and you will have to get some responses that you didn't really think about, so everything will change.
Yes.
And it's also a matter of taking control of your life, obviously, to keep that control very.
How would you describe Johanna's development in the film?
How I would, she goes from being a very, maybe a bit naive teenager, maybe, but quite experienced in other ways, like intellectually. She has a lot of thoughts. She feels that she's thinking a lot, but she has never been in love. She has never experienced this bodily need, the sexual needs. So it's also about the sexual awakening that she suddenly feels, and then she meets this teacher, and everything develops from there, really. And in the end, I think she is more like an average, normal teenager.
It almost sounds sad in a
way,
but
maybe.
But it's come to think of it, she finds her sort of entry point into love, or what she thinks love is, through literature, because she reads the book and she is so taken by the description of a lover folding the scarf around the neck of another lover. That's kind of her ideal, that becomes her sort of...
That's almost like an orgasm, really, if that will happen. It's she can't really imagine something better than that.
I also found the film visually quite striking. For example, when Johanne goes to Johanna's address and tries to meet her for the first time, we kind of change scenery. She goes from her house to a different district of Oslo, and it becomes. She even talks about this. It becomes sort of capitalist. There's a lot of like skyscrapers and tall structures and glass and. What was the idea behind giving her that kind of journey into a completely different environment?
It was about many things. It was about trying to show a different side of Oslo than I have been showing in the other two films, because it's important to keep that in mind, that it is a trilogy, so everything is supposed to. It's also a trilogy about Oslo, so So we were working with different locations in Oslo. So here we are showing, the development from the old, if you can call it the old Oslo, to the new Oslo, and that's a part of the city that she doesn't really know. But when she walks there, when she are taking this walk through the old city to the new city to meet her, what she feels is her lover, she gets to own that kind of part of the city. It's like that when we are walking around. And we are starting to recognize ourselves, and we start to get the feeling that we are a part of the location. So that's also about growing up, I think. In a way.
True.
To feel some ownership to a part of the city and to the people around, to the shops, and
Yes, even if at first I think the new environment seems strange to her. And she kind of wonders what. Makes Johanna live there in the first place, because she doesn't seem to be that kind of person that lives in an environment like this. But now that you mention it, I mean, there's other places like the sort of Jacob's Ladder sequence, where we see a lot of actors sort of staging a play, and we see the figure of the grandmother kind of ascending those stairs. Was that a sort of image? I mean, that's a dream sequence.
That's a dream sequence,
of the grandmother. What did that signify for you?
That signifies her, when she reads about her grandchild's love story and sexual awakening, she also gets to be reminded of her own love life and her own, sexual life, and she'll, in a way, longs to experience that again, even if she's quite old by now. And this is, I think, you could read this as some kind of sexual dream, really.
Yeah.
She's walking up that stair to something that she imagines is a man sitting at the top. And she is, I don't know if you noticed that, but she's the only woman in the stair. The stair is full of men. Yeah. And they're all walking up to this man or God or what you would call him.
Yeah.
So I think it's possible to. No, it was meant like a kind of sexual dream because stairs is also kind of dream theory.
Yeah.
Connected to sexuality.
Yeah. One point also the way that certain types feel is because of the soundtrack that you have in the film, because I felt like some scenes feel very sort of operatic because of the classical score that you have. How did you approach that? Did you look at certain scenes and go, okay, this, like, I need a certain type of music for that, or was there something else?
No, it's always a bit hard to choose music, I think, because when you are in the editing, you don't really want any music because you just want to get the story to work in without music, because music can then feel a bit disturbing or you want it to work in its own right in a way without the help of music. But after a while you start to want to have music as so then so I worked with a new composer this time. And she went into the editing room and we tried to, tell her what we probably needed, and she sent us stuff. It was like the ordinary way, really. But there was some scenes, because this is a film with a lot of voiceover. Yeah. True. And some scenes there are no voiceover, so then you need to. Then we needed to think: is this going to be just a soundscape, or should we fill it with music? And to fill it with music might then feel as an easy way out. True.
I guess you also need to be careful because it could completely change the mood, or it could throw people off if there was some sort of music that doesn't fit what comes before and what comes after. If you could define what dreams means in the trilogy of sex, love, dreams, or dream, sex, love, is there something you like? Can you put your finger on it and say what it, like, kind of what function it does have?
Dreams in general, or dreams, the film?
Dreams, the film in the trilogy.
In the context,
because otherwise we would be talking quite a lot longer.
I think. No, it was the whole time the meaning to talk about the same topics in different ways, really. So it is. I think all three films are about sexuality in different ages, and this is. It could be the first film in the trilogy because it's about the sexual awakening, the first experience of it. But then I thought it was good to put it in between the other two. And it's also about the identity, I think, all the three films. What identity means, if that is something that you take or if it's something you have. If it has to be liberating to take an identity, or if it could be quite as liberating to not have an identity.
Like I told you, I haven't seen Love yet, but I'm very much looking forward to it. And like I said, I adored sex and dreams, and I'm can't wait for the third film in the trilogy.
I hope you like that too.
Dag, I want to thank you again for taking the time and being here and talking with us.
Thank you.
And I wish you all the best for the premiere and for the rest of the Berlinale.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our pleasure.